Welcome back to the Smite console lean. It's October and it's about to get spooky for whichever team cannot find the win here. Flashpoint up against Armada, and it's Finch and Tolly here bringing you the action.
That's right. These teams are tied set-wise 2-2, and now they're tied in this series 1-1.
That's right.
Turning the best of 3 into the best of 1. Armada with a difficult challenge in Week 6 up against Astral, whereas we're seeing Flashpoint up against Elevate.
Right.
Must win for both teams, honestly.
Absolutely at this point. I think we could say, if we look at the different games, Armada won Game 1 pretty easily. That game was nowhere near as close. Flashpoint in their winning Game 2, they went down to the wire, like 40-plus minutes. They were able to close it out, but it wasn't easy. Let's see if Armada can find another easy one, or if Flashpoint are going to put the screws to him again.
That's true. It was a lot of just dual lane pressure in game number 1 that gave Armada the lead. Game number 2 was a lot of jungle pressure from Flashpoint, making sure that same strategy from Armada was not successful.
It was great adjustments from Jump in particular on that Thor in the jungle role that really got things turned around for them. What got him the MVP in Game 2. We'll see if he can make that same kind of impact, because the Zeus is banned away one more time for the middle lane from Armada. This was a big problem for them in Game 1. They don't have to worry about it here.
The outwash was still a relatively big, important factor, specifically around that, I believe, the Gold Fury, where Armada were able to steal that away. I think that's what actually gave Fatal Ghost the 4 kills after the fact. So we could still see that idea.
Kuzenbo going to be picked up from Flashpoint. Very much enjoying the performance by Delnyy in this last game as Ullr. First pick by Armada. I mean, okay, Fatal Ghost looked great Game 1, not nearly as good Game 2, but they are prioritizing some dual lane pressure if it's going to be Ullr Artio.
I love the Artio selection here, and making sure that Delnyy was not going to be playing it from Flashpoint, even though Kuzenbo was being played by Delnyy in game number 2. I think the idea here is that cripple, making it more annoying for Kuzenbo to find a sumo slave.
You want to try and limit some of his impact as Cerberus comes through as well to be paired up with the Freya. I said Athena lost, didn't she, Game 2?
Yes,
I called it. I knew it. I knew it. God dang.
Caster's Curse, as always. That's why no one picked it in game number 1.
Well, we're in for another really long game here, I'd imagine. I would not be surprised if this one went 55 minutes, just based on what I've seen. All my analysis. Hope I don't end up wrong again.
Wow. I see what you're doing there. Ratatoskr, global pressure now. Wouldn't be surprised if they ban away the Thor, making sure that it's going to be Armada with the global pressure.
It certainly will be. This is going to be strong, what this Ratatoskr can do for them out of the jungle, especially on console, as 2 hunters get banned away by Armada. This Freya has been allowed to be grabbed up by Keegs and paired another hunter every game. This time they have to find something different.
Yeah, that's true. I'm expecting keegsmate to still play the Freya anyway, but
think so.
The idea is Crimson likes to play hunters as well, but he's been playing like the Chiron, he's been playing the Chernobog in games 1 and 2, so I don't think he was going to go for the Neith or Ram either way.
Bring back this Erlang Shen one more time as well for Armadas. They've been keeping the core of this draft the same, maybe kind of flexing a couple things around it. As Dodgy comes out, a bit surprising.
Jumpahhh likes it.
But there's not a ton of CC immunity on Armada. This is going to be a very strong pick.
It's true. Artio and Ullr and Erlang Shen should be pulled in very frequently, especially if Ratatoskr uses that through the Cosmo ultimate. As Cupid will be that hunter of choice.
And that's perfect. Now you have Cupid, who, even if through the Cosmos is available, he can force it out or force out any of these beads. Between these two and the Cerberus working together, it's going to be very difficult to keep your CC immunity online.
Yeah, the Soul going to wrap things up for Armada. It's a relatively safe pick, I would say, whether that's going to go in the mid lane or the hunter role, expecting it to be played from MitchTeep, however. I think he's tired of all the pressure that's on his lane. That's
right. So the Soul going to come in to give them even more of an auto attack focus. Armada at Flashpoint. Who do you think is going to win this game? Let us know in the mixer poll as we're getting ready to head right into the action. But who's the solo laner for this squad? We've seen Erlang in the jungle up until now. Is it Rat that's going on?
It could be Ratatoskr. We've seen that before. Has a good amount of sustain, the ability to pick up the Warrior's Blessing and just finish off your Acorn while still being in the lane. You don't have to back as frequently as possible, and then that global pressure into the mid lane could swing things in the favor of Teep.
It looks like it is going to be Ryan Jarman taking the Erlang Shen over into the solo role this time. MitchTeep going to have the Soul available for him, so we'll see exactly how that matchup ends up going. And this is curious. Joey Linn has played the Erlang, I believe, in Game 1 and Game 2. They have the Erlang available, but elect not to put it in the jungle this time.
Yeah, that's true. Ryan Jarman going to be playing the Erlang Shen in that solo lane. I don't mind that too much because Berserker Shield for an Erlang Shen is more favorable in that solo lane where it's just a straight up 1v1 boxing.
We'll see what the idea here is for them as they end up moving throughout the action. Keegs and Koiz go right to the purple buff, are able to defend and they'll have to rotate back over to the lane. Looks like they might have missed out on a creep or two. as they start to get the clear going. But Cupid selected by Keegs, not the Freya. A lot of changes up this time.
That's very true. keegsmate playing a physical hunter now instead of the magical one. Crimson should be able to try to be a bully and try to match some of the damage from MitchTeep potentially down the road. And if you want a safety bubble, having the Freya for the Valkyrie's discretion could even put up more damage in some of these boxing skirmishes.
I wonder why the change up here. If they wanted the Cupid, it certainly will do better over here in the dual lane. Maybe that's why, but I mean, up until now, they've been insistent on this Freya duo.
Honestly, it's forcing the beats from Fatal Ghost. You drop the Fields of Love on top of Fatal Ghost, and what is he going to do? He has no CC immunity, so he has to use beads and jumps away.
It certainly could be strong for this. It looks like Koiz has already been axed out a little bit here on the left-hand side, but he's A-okay with that. A nice stun from keegsmate will buy him some space. Sometimes I feel like we see Cupid go with Transcendence early on, but not here. Hunter's Blessing right into the boots. He's going a little bit more traditional, but avoiding the lifesteal early. Going
for basic attacks is not a bad idea. There's a lot of attack speed for Cupid once you start maxing out. Oh, look at this, though. Just being aggressive, Koiz. Without a jump available, he was the focus fire, forces out keegsmate to back on out as well.
Crimson might be in a little bit of trouble in mid lane. A good banish creates some space. MitchTeep finds one auto in the back end, but they just did not have enough. Crimson able to make it out, and now there's more duo lane action.
Oh, no mana on Fatal Ghost. Hold that thought, just barely having it to jump away. Zirxy's going to root keegsmate in place, keep in mind his dash. It's still not available, but there's no real mana for Fatal Ghost to take advantage quite yet.
That is a nice win, though, I would say, for Flashpoint, finding the beads out from Fatal Ghost over here in the dual lane. They did have to use their own shell to try and keep themselves topped off, but Keegs might be able to find a stun into some follow-up now without that beads window being there for his enemy hunter.
Yeah, Koiz with Ghastly Breath. Despite the penetration, it's going to provide a little bit of a slow to allow keegsmate an easier time hitting that heart bomb as Zirxy needs to look for some peeling potential. It's going to be difficult against how aggressive this Cupid-Cerberus combination really is.
It can certainly be strong in this one, totally, as a lot of adjustments have been made from what we've seen throughout this set so far, right? And we talked about it before. In these best of threes, there can kind of be an in-set meta that can develop. Keegs has been valuing this Freya this whole time. Linn has been valuing this Erlang, but not in this game. They've made some adjustments. Delnyy is back on the Kuzenbo, but they swapped a little bit of the rest of the draft here around to try and go into game 3 with a different identity.
And the thing is, Jarman should be just as aggressive in this last game as he was in game number 1, when he had the chalk up against the Artio matchup. Against any sort of Guardian, a Warrior, especially a basic attack Warrior such as Erlang Shen, should have the advantage. Not going to go for a Hunter's Blessing for that Erlang, but going for a Warrior's.
Koiz could certainly be in some trouble as Linn has made his way over, and Fatal Ghost has too much damage with the bladed arrow. First blood going the way of Armada, and MitchTeep might be in some trouble as well. He has Disapparate available. No Aegis when he comes out of it. He jukes the first one, not the second, but jukes the last one. Crimson can't find the shots, and MitchTeep makes it out.
Needed a 50% accuracy from Crimson to secure that kill, only sitting at 25% as he hits 1 of 4. Crimson dropping the ball there, but Jumpahhh just now hitting level 5, has his ultimate, could look for some pulls. Not going to be able to find it, though. Linn.
That's the powwow waste, and Linn wants to respond by going up into the air, and he's made his target Crimson, who has no mana and no beads available either. The range is coming in from Zirxy, and Linn finds one more kill, but Flashpoint are here to respond.
Oh, the dual lane is here, as is the soul lane. Delny's here, getting stunned away out of Zirxy, and this is a lot of missed farm from Flashpoint. On the left side, Fatal Ghost is going to get those oracles, or at least one of them, thinking about making that half rotation. It's going to push that wave under. Meanwhile, casually farming was Jarman.
Able to find a nice kill there in the middle lane and the safe disengage. Armada so far have been looking strong, but this could potentially be punished. Jarman has that turtle form, so he's able to make it right on out of there. And there's no more lockdown as the beads forced out from Fatal Ghost on the opposite side.
Nothing else he could do. He might actually even pick up Magai's Cloak. This is a matchup where Magai's Cloak wouldn't be a bad idea immediately after boots even. Simply to make sure that you don't have to use your purification beads every single time that ultimate's up.
Yeah, and it's tough having to buy it, but in this matchup, without the CC immunity on the ult, right, and with how often they're forcing those beads off from him, he really might have to. I mean, so far, Flashpoint have been doing a good job on that, even though it's Armada who've been the one finding kills.
That's true, and Matt Koiz can look for follow-up now. Without the beads, if the jump's down for Fatal Ghost, you're going to be looking at a Stygian Torment, and then keep in mind, Jumpahhh could be looking for Powwows repeatedly. Nice little jump to avoid that paralyzing spit. Matt Koiz can't really get in position for that Stygian Torment without a blink.
They aren't doing a good job zoning Fatal Ghost away. It looks like a couple creeps might have died while he was too far away to grab them. So at the very least, they're able to find that. It looks like Zirxy's letting him just handle this matchup in the 2v1. He's on his way more pathing like he wants to be in the middle lane.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much freedom that they can give that Hunter because he needs some farm and he's getting zoned away. And without any ability to last hit, his Transcendence stacks are just going to be stale at 13 for a long time.
That's curious. Maybe he just changed his mind. Zirxy pathed like he didn't want to go to duo. It just took effectively longer, but he does end up showing up in the end, deciding to work along with Fatal Ghost, and this should allow him to actually get some of that lane farm this time.
And more minions for Flashpoint means that Armada's Hunter Fatal Ghost should get some experience. 1v1 in the soul lane becomes a 2v1. Jumping up and down Joey Linn. Thinking about even tower diving. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, this is very curious. Joey Linn is certainly dead to rights. Delnyy will take a gifted kill. Very nice of Armada to give that one to him.
Yeah, and Delnyy just going to be taunting in the meantime. Fatal Ghost, though, in a lot of trouble. He gets taken out, looking for a second kill on top of Zirxy's. Does he have any escape possible? He's so low, but he's still flirting with danger. One heart bomb would have done it.
Just off the mark there from Keegs, so he ends up falling. Very curious exchange, I would say, across these last few minutes from Armada. Very, very far forward from Fatal Ghost there just now with no immunity, and then the dive from Joey Linn under the tower in solo. Unnecessary, I would say.
I think if Ryan Jarman was taking that tier 1 tower in the soul lane, that would have been a kill on top of Delnyy, but that's so risky to do with Sumo Slam still available. It's not as if he used that ability to get under the safety of his own tower. He just walked in there casually, expecting a tower dive, and caught Joey Linn really slipping.
He's getting too far ahead of himself on that one, so they give a couple kills away, and the game getting much more back to even, whereas for a moment there, Armada had a nice advantage. Though Ryan Jarman is still ahead in the solo lane matchup, at least experience-wise, by a little bit. So certainly not all doom and gloom, as MitchTeep is a good bait right back into the stun. Powwow has to come out.
The sap rate going to be used, avoids the pull, so Jumpahhh forced into the ultimate and the purification beads. And this is the aggression we were asking out of Ryan Jarman, the same way it was the Chalk versus Artio matchup in game 1. You got the Warrior versus Guardian, abuse it. You got Berserker Shield, use those basic attacks, and out-sustain the Kuzenbo.
Well, if Joey Linn wants to be crazily aggressive, this is the time to do it, where they forced out the ultimate from Delnyy for free. This time when he comes back in the lane, he should theoretically be more vulnerable, but he has built an absurd amount of cooldown. Maybe it'll be back before Joey Linn can get there.
Possibly, honestly. I would like to see more aggression in the mid lane. Keegsmate is actually getting aggressed on. This time, Joey Linn looking for some dual lane action.
Joey Linn should have a chance to get to Keegsmate. He will indeed hunt him down, as Fatal Ghost use beads to jump in aggressively. Crimson has made the rotation over. Banish will land on a Joey Linn, but a good stun from Zirxy creates the space.
Wow, just going down right before the Stygian Torment. Now it's Zirxy that could be in a little bit of trouble. Not in range for number 3 and 4. Shell being popped as well. Jumpahh's around the corner, but he doesn't have the powwow to pull anyone outside of the tower.
I can't believe Joey Linn kept that back channeling. He was able to make it back to base A-OK. A much better engagement from Armada on the left-hand side this time. Fatal Ghost recognizing exactly how much damage he had, and MitchTeep only needs a moment alone in mid to grab the tower.
That's very true. That soul passive, giving so much heat between the attack speed and the magical power. You cannot allow a soul any sort of freedom in that mid lane, as Crimson did make that rotation, trying to make the difference.
Well, Joey Linn is now here, but the ultimate available for Delnyy if he feels like he needs it this time, so he should be A-OK. And he has Jumpahhh here to grab his blue buff as well, so that should alleviate some of the pressure from Ryan Jarman.
No Gold Fury is being looked at quite yet. Despite only a 1 kill advantage, Armada relatively comfortable 1,200 gold lead. Still trying to make it a little bit further down. Most of it is because of that tier 1 tower in the mid lane. A little bit of an experience advantage between the solo and jungle side of Armada to boot.
It's nice, though, isn't it, having this soul able to pretty freely farm up.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Up until now, Flashpoint have sort of had that advantage of this like late game Freya that you don't want to deal with. But I kind of like this soul coming in from Armada. That's one more you don't want to allow to get to the late game. Those autos will swing.
And because of that tier 1 tower siege being successful, you know what I would love to see, Finch, which teams like never do? Lane swap.
Lane swap with who?
With the solo lane. Delnyy going for physical defense. All the magical damage from MitchTeep can certainly abuse this Kuzenbo.
Oh, certainly. Yeah, if they bring Teep on over, that could maybe bully him out a little bit as he's prioritized this breastplate early on. We'll see if they want to consider it as Jumpahhh lurking in the jungle. Joey Linn is here as well on the duo side, so might not have much come from it. In fact, Jumpahhh just going to back off.
Like 2 ships sailing across a dark night. They pass on by. Jumpahhh doesn't want any action against Joey Linn, as Joey Linn's just making sure none of his camps are going to get invaded on.
You know what you can get on a dark night? A soul leader. Why not, right, Tully? Grab one of those. We'll see if anyone elects to pick it up here as Matt Koiz has got to run away from Fatal Ghost and Zirxy. The game has slowed down just a little bit. We've got 5 kills so far, and it's Armada. A bit of aggression, but keegsmate doesn't like the pace. He drops the ultimate. Fatal Ghost does eventually use the beads, but after taking quite a bit of poke.
That's right. Very late beads. Because of how slow the Fields of Love supplies onto the character, it allows the Heart Bomb to be almost guaranteed afterwards. So if Fatal Ghost immediately used the beads, he walks away from Fields of Love before keegsmate is even in position to throw out that ability. And now, as a result, Fatal Ghost did survive, but he had to back, making it a technical kill, and allows Flashpoint to do just this. Zone him away from some more gold and experience.
I think I get it, though. Fatal Ghost has to be so greedy with his beads because it's all he has. If there's a chance, even a chance he can make it out without using them, he played to it. And then once he realized there was no hope, he then used the beads and was able to make it out. So maybe that's the idea. But unfortunately, it does mean that he loses out on some farm.
Good little poke damage out of keegsmate. Making sure that you hit a minion that's about to die with the Heart Bomb guarantees the explosion damage on your opposition and the stun, which can net you maybe 2 more basic attacks. And it's little plays like that that can set up kill opportunities. Because finding 100 to 0 play in Smite at the highest level of competitive play is almost non-existent at times. Those opportunities are very few.
Jarman continuing to put some pressure onto Delnyy, but I'm more interested in this jungle matchup. So far, Jumpahh's not been able to hit home on this dodging. I don't just mean that he doesn't have any kills, as Hold That Thought up in the air is Joey Linn, but he finds nothing. Supernova from MitchTeep also doesn't find much, but hey, they got the oracles.
That's true. Well, at least they got one of them. No team with any vision there. I think that Joey Linn was just out of range from his Through the Cosmos, and MitchTeep really wanted to steal those oracles. And with 5 ultis available for Flashpoint, they have a pretty good window to force something.
Well, as long as there's no fight, Armada should be A-okay, but those are 2 very big team-fighting ultimates to have given up on a squad which is at a very significant shortage of ultimates. Remember, they've got 2 stance switchers, so the impact of those of Joey Linn and MitchTeep's ultimates are extended as now the Gold Fury being looked at.
It's going to be at 25% health. Matt Koiz is trying to zone away. Flashpoint, do confirm it. Matt Koiz was a little far away from that Stygian Torment. I thought he was going to throw Zirxy even further away from the potential steal, but instead he used it in case somebody wrapped around the corner. Joey Linn going to go on in, forces the shell from Matt Koiz. keegsmate looking for the 1v1. Keep in mind, beat still not available for 8 seconds, but keegsmate used the Fields of Love on that Gold Fury anyway.
Good recognition from Flashpoint, though. I mean, Armada effectively had 1 ultimate, Ryan Jarman's, and it was nowhere nearby, so they were right to go in with that advantage they had. Nowhere way for Armada to contest, and the Gold Fury should even this game right on up. Just a good recognition, and now Flashpoint can go back to comfortably farming.
Sitting at the 14-minute mark, Armada keeping things very nice and close up against Flashpoint. These teams are tied in the series 1-1, tied in the set score 2-2. Nice triple whoop. Matt Koiz with the Ghastly Breath follow-up. Palau coming through as well, pulling in 2 members.
But Supernova's there to create some space at the knockouts, but it's not enough. Delnyy locks down Zirxy, and Crimson has the damage. Matt Koiz will fall to make it 1-for-1 support for support. Joey Linn, though, who's his target up in the air? Jumpahh's been pinned, beats are forced out. He can keep up the chase.
Oh, but he misses the stun. Good whoop from Crimson, stopping Joey right in his tracks. Jumpahhh, though, might have overcommitted. Ryan Jarman looking for the last hit, but he's getting bullied away from Crimson.
The pin, though, was perfect over the top. Jumpahhh ends up falling, nowhere for him to go, and 1 more kill comes out from Ryan Jarman. Whoever has this Erlang is going to hit nice pins, apparently.
Oh, yeah. Show it. Trying to try out for their Olympic national team is what I'm always kind of seeing as they throw that javelin. MitchTeep's tower, a little healthier than Flashpoint's tower on the left side.
Nice.
Fatal Ghost left unchecked, same way MitchTeep was about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, I agree. That's twice now that Armada have been able to just kind of punish aggression from Flashpoint around the map to open up the map a little bit in terms of just structures. And that's what, 1,000 gold now they've been able to collect off that just for free, essentially. And it's earned a bit of a lead for Armada. 1,500 gold, 3,000 experience.
That's most of where their lead is coming from those two towers. Despite Flashpoint getting the Gold Fury to mitigate that lead, without that Gold Fury, it would be Armada with a 2,600 gold lead. But Flashpoint are still also behind in the experience chart. Things are not looking too good in that jungle role. Just now hitting level 12 was Jumpahhh. Yeah,
the impact from Joey Linn's been much better so far, even with a couple of the ultimates being used too far away to get the max value. The Rat has still been around, still been able to find a nice impact so far and set up some kills. We'll see if Jumpahhh, as the game goes on, can kind of get into stride.
It's not going to be the same kind of pacing the way he did in the last game on the Thor. This time, he's playing the dodge. That does have like a good amount of range with the Powwow, but it's nowhere near to the same scale as the Anvil of Dawn coming from the Thor. And this time, they're dealing with Joey Linn on the Ratatoskr. That's sitting at 2-1-2, looking for more plays in the mid lane.
Good banish from Crimson, but Joey Linn responds by going up into the air. Jumpahhh can't find anyone to pull in with the Powwow, and the knockup comes through. Supernova there as well, and Jumpahhh punished summarily. Now it's Matt Koiz bringing 3 members back into the damage from Crimson. Field of Love is there as well, but Fatal Ghost has Aegis, and he's able to make it out, but can we say the same for Zirxy?
No, they cannot. Trading 1 for 1, make that 2 for 1, and Fatal Ghost falls. He's trying so hard to run away. He's looking for the Nene throw, but not in range.
Keegsmate, though, dives the tier 1 tower to set up the double kill. He gets a couple shots. The pin comes out from Jarman. He might want to turn this one around because Joey Linn's here too, but they can't find it. That makes it 2 for 1 in Flashpoint's favor.
Joey Linn needs to respect that damage from Crimson because he almost got 2 shot coming back into the team fight with less than 50% health. It was a good pick onto Jumpahhh, but losing 2 in the process doesn't really net Flashpoint any objective after the fact, so I don't mind this.
We'll see if it can make it work, though, as Delnyy happy to keep fighting it up with Jarman, but just a little bit of an overcommit, especially from Zirxy, I would say, in that last fight. MitchTeep and Joey Linn do a great job setting that kill up, right? I don't know if they need the Artio to be that far forward, and Zirxy ends up falling on the back end.
The reason why he was that far forward was he needed to go south to avoid the Fields of Love from keegsmate.
Sure.
And he did not want to get hit by that ultimate. It does a lot of damage, a lot of scaling to follow it up. So I don't fault him for not eating it. But you're right, he was out of position, and it was very easy for the rest of Flashpoint to find that kill. It did cost Crimson his ultimate, which could have been exploited afterwards, but the rest of Armada were just not healthy enough to continue the rest of that fight.
And that was good recognition from Flashpoint, right? Once Zirxy does come that far forward and you're able to find an easy kill, then Flashpoint can kind of keep up the push. Yeah, they lost Jumpahhh, but Jumpahhh has not been a part of their success yet at all. So, I mean, losing him in the fight doesn't really hurt what's worked for them in this game so far. So they're able to keep on pushing. Matt Koiz found a great staging Torment, and it puts them into Crimson's damage, and that's what really gets everyone low, and they're able to keep pushing on the back.
That's right. Pulling in 3 members, I believe it was, not really respecting that potential. Almost found 4, but luckily Joey was able to just dash away at the last second. And you were mentioning how Jumpahhh is not really making the impact, and honestly, I agree with you. I think that if Jumpahhh built a little bit more tanky, he'd be able to just stay in that backline, be able to get off the shots, the 1,000 cut blades, being able to apply all the dots in the world that he needs. And a Mantle of Discord can be also used offensively for assassin junglers.
Gold Fury is very low. Keeks has his ultimate, and he will certainly drop it, but Armada burst it before it comes out. Now it's Zirxy who's low, Zirxy who's pulled back in. Joey Linn does force out beads, but Stygian and Torment sets up Jumpahhh for the kill onto the Artio.
Oh, Jumpahhh gonna chase down Joey Linn. Watery Grave on top of the Rat. Good stun onto Jumpahhh while MitchTeep takes out keegsmate on the left.
Joey Linn almost certainly going to die here to Jumpahhh, who hunts him down, but Matt Koiz falls to the hail of arrows to make it 2 for 2. But remember, Armada start this with the Gold Fury, so this is in their favor so far.
That's right. They are able to pin down Delnyy as he pops his thorns and those spiked shells. No one else from Armada interested in following up against the level 18 Kuzenbo. They're kind of shifting their attention on the right side of the map, and with the kill onto keegsmate, it was Fatal Ghost that was level 14 before that team fight, now catching up in the experience department.
But just when we were talking about how we need to see more from Jumpahhh, we see more from Jumpahh. And he's able to find the nice pull onto Zirxy. That's what really kind of guarantees the death of Zirxy. And he's able to get a chase down kill as well. So a much better fight, I would say, from this Dodgy. And the blink's going to make that even worse. I don't even think he used it that fight, but it really does allow the Dodgy to be so much more versatile.
Being able to just get in the thick of things a lot easier. Or
even disengage.
That's right. Like the Trickster Spirit from Dodgy is a good offensive tool, but without the escape, you could also blink in, look for some damage, and then Trickster Spirit your own allies for the disengage. So more options now for what Jumpahhh wants to do, and being able to go to the powwow, not hit anybody on purpose, so that way you put yourself out of combat to immediately blink and escape.
A lot of more options will be available to Jumpahhh. That's why sometimes we see Dodgies grab it early on, but I think this composition from Armada didn't allow that option for him. He had to have beads. Now, though, in the sort of second half of those relics, he'll have a lot more room to operate. We'll see what he can do with it.
Was it game 1 or game 2 where keegsmate went for the Mad Guy's Cloak, 4th item?
I think it was game 2.
Game 2. The game
I don't know if
keegsmate
keegsmate got a 4th item game 1. Like, in all honesty, he was getting bodied.
That's true. Which is funny that he went defensive in game number 2 and the rest of his teammates won successfully. Just goes to show different styles now. If we look at Crimson's build on the Polynomicon front, really just being patient with his positioning, and that damage has just been, you know, relatively high for his team, but not too high for the rest of the game. MitchTeep is higher than him. His solo laner Delnyy is, as is Ryan Jarman, basically 1.5 times the next one.
Joey Linn goes up into the air. Delny's the target. He finds nothing there as Delnyy used the Watery Grave to reposition, so a hefty commitment. And Keegs is going to very happily continue the aggression on the left-hand side of the Phoenix. Fatal Ghost is trying to back on the back end. It looks like he will make it, so he'll have to defend as the 4v4 happens around FG.
Oh, Armada are getting bamboozled. That Phoenix is at 50% health. Making the rotation is Fatal Ghost on the left side, trying to desperately hold on to the Phoenix. His beads was even forced from that Fields of Love. And a 4-on-4 on the right side now. Matt Koiz going to get knocked up. That Supernova doing so much damage.
Shell comes out as well to keep Matt Koiz healthy, and now they can return fire onto Joey Linn. He falls first, thanks to ErupT Crimson's damage from the air. Ryan Jarman might fall as well. He finds a nice pin, but can't get Matt Koiz. Double kill for the mid lane. Crimson on the Freya, and keegsmate is happy to keep pushing on the left-hand side. Fatal Ghost couldn't stick around. Flashpoint win that fight very well.
Oh yeah, making it a 4-on-4 without keegsmate. They were just buying enough time with some of the cancels of the back. Very close to finding that Phoenix, but now this needs to be a Fire Giant attempt from Flashpoint. And Armada, yet again, with another freebie Tier 1 tower. All their Tier 1 towers were unnecessarily lost.
That's true. Delnyy was right there and probably could have stepped in to slow that down, but he'd much rather be here for the Fire Giant, I suppose, as the rest of the team is around. He'll be able to start pulling it, and really no one from Armada is around to defend, and could they, even if they were here? Fire Giant down below 75%. The burn is a little bit slow, but now they can really all in commit. Zirxy nearby. Fatal Ghost jumps over as well to try and be here, but it's not low enough for the steal, and he gives his life away.
But how is the follow-up going to continue? Zirxy's trying to go in. Fire Giant still being flirted with. Up in the sky is Joey Linn. Flashpoint, confirm it.
But up in the air is Joey Linn. Where will he choose to land? He comes in on the backside. Jumpahhh up on the powwow will at least pull in the bear. He's got Joey Linn as well. A gets to immune some damage, but Crimson right there for the follow-up. MitchTeep finds one, but irrelevant as keegsmate takes down Zirxy.
Oh, MitchTeep could be in a lot of trouble here. The chase down, waiting for the disapparate. MitchTeep is going to get slowed out, but no heart bomb from keegsmate. Getting the Fire Giant, only losing one and securing 3 out of Armada.
I really think this Cupid has done work for
him.
Oh,
absolutely.
He certainly might be around to stay. A great impact from Keegs, and Crimson's damage has been absolutely absurd. The Fire Giant goes down. They'll grab this Tier 1 tower as well. Flashpoint now finally in control.
I think that the Ullr pick has finally come back to hurt Armada. In a best-of-3 set, you get to see a team's tendencies and what they like to do and how they like to execute. And Fatal Ghost loves this Ullr pick to the point where they drafted relatively early.
They first, I think, yeah.
I believe that, at least definitely before the secondary ban phase. And this Cupid, I believe, was last picked. It was a ROM ban and a Neath ban secondary out of Armada. Thinking, and which actually threw me for a loop because I thought it was going to be keegsmate yet again on the Freya, but a great adjustment this time around, switching things up from a Freya to a Cupid, showing some good flexibility in his god pool.
And you're definitely not going to kill this Cupid with the double lifesteal he's got. Bloodforge and Aussie at this point, plus any hearts he's able to pick up as well. And drops down the candy with this particular skin, I believe. I mean, it's going to be tough to try and really bully out keegsmate anymore.
It's very spooky time of year, Finch, and that's why keegsmate is playing this Cupid.
So Ryan paints me as someone who hates fun. I love fun. It's October 1st.
Your name is fun. Yeah, of course.
Do we have to go right into the Halloween immediately? I don't know.
Yes, of
It's
course.
So instantly as Matt Koiz finds the Stygian Tournament. Fatal Ghost has to use beads early on. Now it's up to Joey Linn to find somewhere to land with the ultimate, but he can no longer aggress.
No, without that ultimate, it's going to be trickier to dive some of these backlines. Surprised that Armada don't fight this 5-on-4, seeing that all the way on the left side, keegsmate was kind of split pushing, trying to get that wave slightly closer to Armada's Phoenix.
He did a good job of it last time. I believe he found the tier 2 and even forced Fatal Ghost's hand. He had to back just to defend. And now Fatal Ghost will not have beads for the next point of aggression. As a minute and a half for Flashpoint, I'm surprised you haven't seen them near one of these Phoenix lines yet, or even a tier 2 tower. They don't have a ton of time left.
It's true. That tier 2 tower on the left side was because no one contested keegsmate split push, not because of the Fire Giant buff. So this 5-on-5 tower siege needs to begin soon. Only about a minute 15 seconds. Jumpahhh not in the best spot, just casually getting poked down by that stellar burst. MitchTeep has some good poke potential here.
Whoa.
Very early ultimate.
Very curious. Ryan Jarman casually strolled out of it. He finds the two-man taunt on the back end, but there's no follow-up. The mid-tier 2, that was a much different story. MitchTeep's low and had to use Aegis, but they haven't put any damage onto the actual structure.
But forcing out Valkyrie's discretion, Crimson could get dove now once Joey Linn's ultimate is back up. Armada a little too low to contest the tier 2 tower, but some of these Phoenixes could be easier story. About 20 seconds or so on Joey Linn's ultimate to look for the dive.
They should be able to come over here and grab the tier 2 tower in right. Armada are nearby, but do they want to put up a real defense here? We'll certainly see. Hail of Arrows for clear, Bladed Arrow as well. Matt Koiz looking for the stun, can't find it, but they have enough damage to burn the tower down very low.
They're absorbing the basic attacks. In goes Matt Koiz, knocking up 4 members!
Stygian Torment brings everybody back in. Delnyy finds Ryan Jarman very early on. Now Zirxy's in trouble as well. 3 members of Armada have already been wiped, and Joey Linn's got to run.
MVP play. Matt Koiz setting up his team beautifully with that Stygian Torment. Without MitchTeep, without Zirxy, without Ryan Jarman.
Keeks? Hello?
Yeah, I don't know why he dashed
I don't understand. The Phoenix, my guy, he gets it eventually. No big deal.
You know what it is? It's to increase the movement speed of the minions a little bit faster.
He wanted to try and get them back in a little bit sooner, perhaps. I gotta imagine the fastest thing they could do is have their hunter on the structure, but either way, it looks like Team Flashpoint are certainly in a position to find the win here up against Armada. It's only Fatal Ghost here to try and defend. The Titan is down at half health, and one lone Ullr just cannot do enough. The Titan's going down. Flashpoint do it. 27 minutes. They take the set.
What an important victory for Flashpoint. Losing in the other game, or game number 1, to win 2 games in a row, now in control of their own destiny.
Absolutely. Flashpoint look very strong here up against Armada. That first game feels like a distant memory. The game 2 was a slugfest. Game 3 was dominant from them. They're able to close it out.
And with that victory, keep in mind the Week 6 matchups in the North American console scene, or Xbox scene, is going to be Elevate up against Flashpoint, a much easier matchup than Armada up against Astral.
That's going to be tough. Hard to imagine Armada could come away with a 2-0 win there, but certainly we'll have to see. Meanwhile, Flashpoint should have a good chance against Elevate. But who was your MVP, at least from game number 3? Go ahead and let us know what you're thinking. It's tough for me to say. I want to say Keegs, because I liked the way that he looked on that Cupid, but so much damage was coming out of that middle lane from Freya.
I'm looking at Matt Koiz at the very end of the game. That tier 2 tower siege was perfectly timed Stygian Torment. I was expecting Joey Linn on the Ratatoskr to dive out Crimson earlier, considering that there was no Valkyrie's discretion, but he was just wrapping around too long waiting for that flank to occur.
Yeah, we'll see if they can end up making it work for them in Week 6, though. Flashpoint certainly in a good position to be that second-place team, and Armada might be feeling their chances starting to slip away a little bit totally. But Flashpoint made a great adjustment, I want to say. The dual lane pressure was the problem. Keegs was getting bullied so hard in Game 1. Never again. In Game 2, he had more help from Jumpahhh. In Game 3, the Cupid just farmed. It was a really good adjustment.
I like the Thor Game 2 out of Jumpahhh, but I like the Cupid from keegsmate in Game 3 even further. I think that Armada needed to switch up the Ullr pick from Fatal Ghost a little bit more. Having no CC immunity was clearly showing just like a weakness in game number 2. So the fact that they didn't switch it up in game number 3 could hurt their HRX chances.
It absolutely could. I think that they might even be curious if they put that much trust in it. But the MVP selected here was Matt Koiz, and I believe that Cerberus play is really what did it. He controlled everyone, as you said, pulled them all back in, and they won the fight just off that. I think it was a 3-man wipe right away.
Oh yeah, and even the early game pressure onto Fatal Ghost, allowing that kind of a lead. Yeah, this is from Crimson's point of view. But keep in mind, or keep an eye on that Cerberus. Jumping on in, knocking up all 4 members. Crimson actually pops MitchTeep before the pull core. That would have been a 4-man pull.
That's excellent play there coming out from Matt Koiz to set that up. And Crimson was doing that all game long, which was just following up off the big shots. There was a fight, I believe, around Gold Fury, where Matt Koiz did a very similar thing, pulled him back into the damage from Crimson. Not even Gold Fury, it was between the Tier 1, Tier 2. It was that fight they almost lost early on, but Crimson got them all so low they were able to keep pushing.
Crimson's position in game number 3 was spectacular.
It really was.
Because in game number 1 and game 2, you notice keegsmate's positioning on the Freya. He was struggling a lot of team fights to the point where game 2, he's like, all right, I've had enough. I need Mad Guy's Cloak at 4th item, trying to survive. And that just goes to show that the Polynomicon 4th item allowed Crimson that extra damage. He was very careful about when he showed his face.
It was very impressive, too, because I didn't think they got a ton out of the Dodgy in that game either, and it didn't really seem like mattering. I said earlier on when they fell, yeah, Jumpahhh died, but he wasn't instrumental to their plan anyway, really, so they made it work even without him. That means it ends up going in their favor, but let's look back, or rather at the standing, see where everyone is going to shape up on the back end of all those fights. Remember, we said Flashpoint now with that win are going to be above Armada.
They control their own destiny. Armada need to hope for a miracle to get through for that number 2 spot. There's still some chances if they can find a 2-0 victory, and a Flashpoint can lose 2-0, but unlikely. I got to give their odds about 10%, if that.
Yeah, they have a very good chance they'll be able to come out on top as rival remain uncontested over there in Europe. We also saw Noxious come out looking strong. Now remember, we're talking about these matches next week. Let's go ahead and look at the actual schedule to see where everyone's going to end up standing out. We said Flashpoint and Elevate. That's the one we expect Flashpoint to win. Astral and Armada happening offline.
That's right, and the rival versus Cyclone GG out of Europe. Noxious up against Retribution to wrap things up.
Should be a good matchup. We saw Noxious playing a little bit earlier on. Some heartbreak in that set around those Fire Giants. Couldn't quite close that one out. But console, man, or at least on the Xbox side, it's going down to the wire. It feels like Flashpoint had to make sure they execute, but they should have a good chance to make it all the way through.
Oh, definitely should be. I think Flashpoint are in a perfect spot now, controlling their own destiny.
Yep.
This is the best possible thing you want going into week 6.
But if you can believe it, we're only halfway through the day. That's just Xbox. We still have PS4 coming up here in just a moment, so plenty more action. We're going to take a look at EU and NA, find out who your representatives will be from that side as well. While we get everything ready for those matches, go ahead and grab a drink, grab a snack, whatever you need. Get right back here for those games.